What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, the official Cliffy J, and I'm back with another video. And today, I'm gonna be giving you guys another challenge ranking. And in this video, I'm gonna be ranking the best Rivals pairs in challenge history. And I'm going to be looking at how good each team performed on the season and how good the players were around that time. For example, I'm not going to look at CT and Wes and judge them by the standards of how good they both are now or how good they were at their peaks. I'm going to be looking at how good that they were and how good they performed on Rivals 2. So, without further ado, let's get into some honorable mentions. And for the honorable mentions, I've got Camilla and Teresa from Rivals 1, Laurel and Cara from Rivals 1, Nelson and Shane from Final Reckoning, Hunter and Ashley from Final Reckoning, Joss and Sylvia from Final Reckoning, and my number 11, I would say at this point, definitely has a chance of climbing on the list, Adam and Steve from All Stars 5. Pretty confident that Adam and Steve would be the closest to making the list, but Nelson and Shane and Cara and Laurel definitely have a conversation for it. So does Ashley and Hunter. Same with John. They're all pretty much close than those next couple teams. That's like a tier to themselves. If I was doing a tier list, they would all be in the same tier for sure. But yeah, let's get into number 10. And at number 10, this is kind of cheating, but I got
Don't be a pussy, eat one.
Turbo and Nani. And we've had two separate seasons where these two were able to be, a very amazing pair, especially on World of Worlds 1. And so far on All-Stars, they've been a top team all season and a seriously formidable matchup for the final because their ability to work as a team. Turbo really does bring the best out of Nani as a player, and Turbo is such an excellent overall competitor, probably the best on the season. Turbo and Nani are a threat to win the whole thing, but it comes down to if they can avoid facing Adam and Steve in elimination. And at number 9, I've got Bananas and Tyler from Rivals 1. And I know you guys are probably thinking, whoa, they won. Why aren't they higher? Why aren't they in the top 5? But I thought long and hard about this. Really, this is what made me take such a long time to release this specific video, because I really had to do a lot of deeper research to really determine on if I feel like Bananas and Tyler were slightly an overrated team. And I mean, when we look at all the context, they're a really strong team in the dailies, and they're a very well-rounded team. I don't really necessarily see many weaknesses for them as a team, and I do think they are athletically and skillfully one of the best teams that we've ever seen. At the same time, if we go by at the time, I don't think Bananas was that good on Rivals 1. Like, Bananas, he did perform well, not saying he didn't, but I personally think it was a clear difference in the Bananas on Rivals 1 and the Bananas on Exits 1, Free Agents, Rivals 3, like those Bloodlines, those seasons. I think that Bananas was clearly better, and I would consider that peak Bananas versus that Bananas that was I think Rivals 1 Bananas is still the Ruins Bananas to me. Like, when I look at him as a competitor, how he performed, he was already good on the Ruins. He was already good on the island. He just seemed like he was around that same level. And he had maybe it wasn't that big of an uptick, but he for sure improved going into Exits. For sure. And at number 8, I've got Bananas and Tony from Final Reckoning. This one was kind of tough. Like I said, I really heavily debated between Tyler and Tony. And though I do think Tyler is the greater all-time player, if I'm looking peak for peak, who I'd rather take on a season, Final Reckoning, Champs vs. Stars 2, Vendetta's Tony, or Cutthroat, Rivals one Tyler, I would actually take Tony. No, Tony isn't the same level as a swimmer, but he is a very good swimmer. I think we can clearly say that, especially based on seasons like Vendettas. Like, he clearly showed that he has, a fish inside of his body. So I really do trust Tony to be able to do anything that Tyler was able to do. Now, he is more clumsy, and it is certain things that I kind of trust Tyler better with, like a puzzle I probably would trust Tyler better with. At the same time, they probably have the similar amount of evidence to prove that they can do puzzles or can't do puzzles. So I would lean Tony in terms of Final Reckoning, that a level area of Tony over that Tyler. And honestly, I would also prefer that Bananas over the other one. He was slightly less athletic, but I would say as a competitor overall, he was more cerebral. He is slightly better at puzzles, slightly better at math. He was just better at executing, I would say. And he had so much more experience. It really wasn't much stuff that he hadn't seen before. So I do think that was like late peak Bananas versus the other one was early peak Bananas. So I would lean towards the later peak Bananas for sure. And at number 7, I've got Zach and Amanda from Final Reckoning. And Prime Amanda, Rivals 3 to Final Reckoning, is super fucking underrated, bro. Like, I swear, she was for sure able to keep up with Ashley, Nicole, Kayla, and Jenna. That's like the second tier of female competitors at the time, and she was for sure in there with them. From a competitive standpoint, this team was insanely good. Certainly a top 3 team, along with Bananas and Tony, and Nelson and Shane. Peak Zach is probably the closest thing to CT that we've seen in challenge history. Solid in puzzles, good at math, slightly better athlete, because post-invasion of the champions, Zach was significantly less muscular than he was pre-invasion of the champions. Like, that was like the period where you could see he start to slim down. But he still had the same athletic ability with much better endurance. This pair is honestly one of the smartest challenge pairs that we've seen from a competitive standpoint. Zach's strength, size, and athleticism can carry them in most eliminations and a lot of dailies. So this is a team that I really do think that if they wouldn't have essentially given up their spot and got rigged out of the game, they probably do get it done. And they're a very strong, formidable pair all around. Like, I'm gonna be real. Peak Ashley is not that dissimilar from Peak Amanda. I'm not trolling. Like, Peak Ashley is not that dissimilar, bro. I'm just keeping it real. Peak Ashley just is more lucky. She is more lucky. That's just really it. That's really it. Like, not even gonna troll. And at number 6, we've got CT and Adam. This is probably the hardest team to rank, along with one other one that I'm not going to actually put on the list, but is an honorable mention that I forgot to mention, is Kenny and Wes. When you have one player that's just terrible, I feel like I can't put you on here. And though as a team, as players, Kenny and Wes would for sure make the list if we're just taking them two compared to every other team, 1-to-1 comparison. They will make the list, but they performed so bad and genuinely got lucky in a lot of situations, in my opinion, that Wes was able to pick up the slack at every turn of events until they got to the final, where Kenny had to pick up the slack. It's just like, it's too many flaws in their performance. It's not like it was something that rigged them out of the game. Yeah, their loss was a little bit fluky, but everything else along the lines of it was always like not that good. Like, this is why I have CT and Adam on the list over them. It's simply because CT and Adam actually did it. They actually performed good. They were actually arguably the best team on the season until they got into that elimination where Adam wasn't able to get it done and could have thrown it. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, I just feel like I gotta put them on here. Kenny and Wes could definitely be on the list, but when I'm looking at it from a performance standpoint, they're one of the worst performing teams, especially pre-final. So I'm not gonna put them on the list, and I'm gonna go ahead and put CT and Adam at number 6. And at number 5, I've got Bananas and Frank on Rivals 2. Rivals 2. I don't know why I'm probably saying the wrong names for all this stuff. I don't even care. But Rivals 2, Frank came into that season off a stellar rookie season, an absolute beast. And it was just more of the same. He was extremely good in the daily challenges, genuinely held back by Bananas, clearly not being in the same shape he used to be, Johnny.
It was a long time ago. You're not in nearly the shape you were in the past. You would have made it through a week. You ain't the shape you used to be, Johnny. Bro, you ain't the shape you used to be. You're such a loser.
You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, he wasn't in the same shape, and you can tell from an endurance standpoint, from like a physical standpoint, he wasn't pushing the same. Maybe it was, coming off a win, backing up on the burgers, all that. But then instead, he used to just big burgers and lift weights. Big burgers and lift weights. So that's probably, the stage Bananas was in. Big burgers and lifting weights, not keeping his endurance where it needed to be. But all in all, like, they still performed extremely well. They still were arguably the best team in the dailies, definitely top 2 alongside CT and Wes. So, I can't really be too low on them just because Bananas wasn't in shape, because Frank is an absolute beast and one of the best players ever. So, got to put him up here for sure. And at number 4, I've got Bananas and Sarah. And I got Bananas and Sarah here at 4, mostly because I think that they are one of the most skilled teams ever. Endurance would really be their only weakness. They've both proven themselves in eliminations, proven themselves in finals, and proven themselves to be 2 of the best daily challenge competitors in challenge history. Bananas is one of the most well-rounded and skilled in the way of the carnival games, hand-eye coordination, ability to figure stuff out, his ingenuity. Sarah also has all those traits, while she's also one of the smartest players in challenge history. So, though I do think that their finals performance did leave, especially Sarah's, did leave a little bit to be desired, I just feel like at the end of the day, it was more of an endurance-based final. Yeah, they had checkpoints, but it was more of an endurance-based final, kind of like a mountain climb. I think if it was less endurance-based and more like a straight run, with puzzles and stuff, they would have destroyed the teams they went against. I think that because it went incline, it made it a lot closer than maybe it would have been. And yeah, Jenna and them did perform good on the checkpoints. At the same time, the altitude does matter, pacing yourself, stuff like that. That's another thing. Sarah and Johnny know to pace themselves. So, you never know. It could have been a close final regardless. Same time, I just trust Bananas and Sarah to beat most teams in finals, be one of the best daily challenge teams in challenge history. I think this team could get up with any team that's ever existed in challenge history and dailies. On top of the fact that in elimination, neither of these guys have showed to be a weak an elimination competitor. They both can get it done and have gotten it done multiple times. And at number 3, I've got Emily and Paula from Rivals 2. Maybe the most dominant team in Rivals history, that or Bananas and Sarah. Certainly the best team in dailies, and they absolutely killed a tough final with tough competition. They genuinely looked like 2 robots on this season. Like, not gonna cap. It was like nothing they could do wrong. They were winning. They weren't seeing eliminations, and it just was solidified from the jump. I don't know what pairing you could have made that would have beat them, because I don't think Laurel and Carl would have beat them. Maybe Cook and Laurel, or have like Camilla and Cook, or Teresa and Camilla again. When they're better, because they were both better by that time. I don't know, because obviously Jemmy and Camilla weren't. So I don't know, man. I think that this was one of the best pairings for the women that you can ever make. It's not many pairings that fit better together. Now, I do think they could be a little bit better in the puzzles department, 100%. But other than that, these 2 are very good at most things. Both can do math. Emily is not a puzzle girl, but Paula can do puzzles. They can run for days. They have elite swimming, even though Emily's not an elite swimmer. Paula is one of the best swimmers. Like, this team is so dangerous. And in eliminations, I wouldn't look at them as a slouch either. Because Paula's shown that if you can give her a strong competitor, she can compete for sure. So, yeah, definitely got to have them at number 3. And at number 2. I've got Paula's other rival team, Evelyn and Paula. And this is where it became a true debate. I really did debate between these top 3 spots, who I would have at 1 and who I would have at 3. But I felt the most comfortable putting Evelyn and Paula at number 2, simply because from a performance standpoint, they weren't as good as I would have wanted them to be. They were not at the level of an Emily and Paula or my number 1 team in terms of daily dominance. They were probably the second best team in terms of dailies, with Jen and Mandy outperforming them overall. But they came into the final and looked like absolute world beaters. No one was beating them in that final. None of the women pairs maybe ever were beating them in that final. On top of the fact that I just prefer Evelyn over Emily. Like, I'm comfortable saying that Evelyn is significantly better than Emily as a competitor. Better at puzzles, just as athletic, around the same level of strength, better competitor in dailies, just as good finals track record, better elimination performer. Well, not better elimination performer, but also a great elimination performer. Maybe not the same level in terms of dominance, but definitely around the same level in terms of just simple performance and what she's done. And then Paula was around the same level, but she probably was a little bit better on Rivals too. So, definitely was very, very close. Definitely was a debate there. But I also think the Rivals 1 cast were stronger women. I prefer the Camilla Teresa team over most of the teams on Rivals 2. I prefer Camilla and Teresa over Cook and Cara as a team, 100%. I think they're certainly a better team. So if that's your second best team, and that's the third best team, because Cara and Laurel clear Cook and Cara, simply because Laurel is a dog, like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, gotta have them at number 2. And at number 1, I've got CT and Wes.
TJ blows the horn. Their 3 minutes are up. Johnny is falling on the ramp like some beached whale.
Whoa. Like, was this ever really a doubt? Like, sometimes these lists piss me off because it was like obvious. Of course, CT and Wes are going to be at number 1, especially when you're looking at my criteria. If we're talking about just from a dominant standpoint, probably Emily and Paula would be number 1, or Bananas and Sarah. Like, those would be the top 2 teams from a dominant standpoint. But their casts aren't as good. They're like I said, their competition isn't as tough. On top of the fact that the team pairing is not as crazy as this. You have Wes. This is still nearly, if not peak Wes, from an overall standpoint, politically and physically. And you have absolute peak CT, the best CT we've ever seen, even to this day. Bro, there's no team beating that, bro. There's no team ever beating that, bro. What are you gonna do? How do you beat them? CT is hitting on all cylinders. That already is dangerous and nearly unbeatable. Which is why I have CT and Adam on the list, because that's nearly unbeatable. On top of the fact that you have Wes, who's very confident because he's for one paired with CT and he's still Wes. Cooked, bro. This team is, I don't even have to look at anything else. This is the best team, best Rivals team in challenge history. And even if you guys want me to break it down from a statistical standpoint and all that, they were arguably the best performing team on the season between them and Bananas and Frank. Then they got to the final and destroyed the other teams. So I think they are pretty clearly the best team, the best Rivals pairing ever, for sure. You guys let me know in the comments who you guys would say is the best Rivals pairing in challenge history. And make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Push the notification bell so you can be notified every time I drop a new lit banger. And the challenge content is coming, y'all. Just wait. And you know what I'm saying? I ain't got no peace. Peace.
I've done it to my own mother, to be honest. If
But
we're really
you know
gonna call
what?
a spade a
You know
spade.
what? Remember when I
thought
said
you weren't
that?
gonna say anything. I thought you weren't gonna say anything.
I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.